Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about our new P-Series phones for power users. My name is Elvira Crespo, and I'm the marketing manager for the open source community at Sangoma. Today we have Mike White. He's Vice President of Open Solution Sales, and he's here with us to give this presentation. And we also have Stan Slay. He's the product manager in charge of our phone lines. So he will be available in case you have any specific technical questions at the end. I would like to remind you that you can ask questions at any time during the webinar. If you go to the question section of the control panel, and we will review them at the end and go through them. Hello, Mike. Are you there?
I sure am. Thanks for the introduction, Alvita. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. As Alvita mentioned, I'm Mike White. I lead open source sales here at Sangoma. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today to talk to you about a product that we've been working on since I came here to Sangoma almost 28 months ago. Through a global pandemic and supply chain issues, Sangoma has been working to create the very best next-gen phone for FreePBX and PBXact, and I'm proud to be here with you to talk about the culmination of these efforts today. So on the docket for today, for those of you who don't know us yet, I'll briefly cover Sangoma and who we are. From there, we'll move into a quick product overview of the brand spanking new P-Series lineup. We'll discover just how easy it is to provision and manage these phones with FreePBX and PBXact. We'll learn all about our new exciting productivity applications that were designed to make your users and customers' lives easier. I'll share details on how to order the new P-Series lineup, and we'll wrap up with a quick Q&A session with myself and Stan. Please note also as a follow-up, I will make this slide deck available after the webinar. We've included some very helpful links that include things like instructions for getting the phone set up, and then even a more detailed technical overview of our apps and accessories. So please check that out. About Sangoma, so you can feel confident doing business with us. Founded in 1984 with more than 600 employees, over 30 offices nationwide. We have an installed base of 2.5 million UC seats in over 150 countries. You know, Sangoma is a leader in an area that's very dear to my heart, open source telephony. As the corporate sponsor and guardians of Asterisk and FreePBX, we continue to invest in research and development and also innovation. And the new P-Series phones are a pretty fine example of this. As you can see by the numbers, we're a very quickly growing company, and our long history can be used as evidence that we're going to be here for you in the future. We're not going anywhere. Again, I'm very excited to introduce the most flexible, tightly integrated phones ever built for FreePBX and PBXact. Sangoma's line of P-Series phones are designed to deliver the features you need for every type of user and at an extremely competitive price point. A few quick things to mention. The full design and build by Sangoma, designed right here in-house, right down to the plastic beads that make up the phone's body. The P-Series phones, as mentioned, are the next-gen evolution of the popular D-Series line. As such, users can experience the same legendary build quality and software performance, but at a price that's much more competitive with other phone vendors in the market. That being said, we're able to compete at every level. We've created phones that are both priced competitively and designed with user types in mind. We've built the entry-level P310 and 315. Our mid-range includes the P320, the P325, and the P330, and we've rounded out the line with our executive touchscreen phone, the P370. We've got a uniform physical operation across all models and feature parity across the entire line with a few exceptions. We'll touch on that later. And these are designed not only for FreePBX and PBXact, but they're really designed to work with all of Sangoma's UC offerings. You know, that includes platforms from our commercial lines like Switchvox or Business Voice. We've designed built-in applications to improve user productivity, which we're going to drill down into later today. And we've tightly integrated portal.sangoma.com to support easy redirection and setup for our Endpoint Manager module. We also have within the line, you know, all the features that you've come to expect from any phone, you know, PoE, EHS for headsets, and also HD voice. First up, the new value-based IP phones, the P310 and the P315 offer all of the entry-level features that you'll need without sacrificing any function or performance. These phones sport a 2.4-inch color screen. We've got a very loud and clear speakerphone reminiscent of the D series lineup, if you're familiar with that. We support up to 2 SIP accounts. We've got 2 Kensington slots for securing your device against theft. And as mentioned before, full EHS headset support. For reference, the difference between these 2 models are the Ethernet ports. The P310 offers a standard 10100 port, while the 315 includes gigabit Ethernet, just like the rest of the phones lineup. The mid-range kicks off with our P320 phone. This phone includes gigabit Ethernet. It's got a couple of Kensington slots. It supports up to 4 SIP accounts or dedicated busy lamp indicators, or smart BLFs as we call them. The P320 has a 4.3-inch glass color backlit display. Our glass displays use a technology called IPS, or in-plane switching technology. This allows for great color and great clarity from any viewing angle. Long gone are the days of having to spin your phone around to get a better view. These phones look great from any angle. We've got 6 dedicated function keys here on the left-hand side. We've got things like voicemail, contacts, hold, redial, transfer, and conference. And then on the right-hand side of the phone here, we've got dedicated backlit buttons for things like handset, mute, and speakerphone. And for future expansion, we've also included a USB port on this phone, or if you're like me, you'll just use it to charge up your mobile phone. As we move through the line to the P325, we've upped the ante a bit by adding up to 6 accounts or dedicated BLF status keys. We've got that same 4.3-inch IPS color backlit display. We've got the same dedicated hard buttons and function keys that we've come to know and respect from the 320. We've got our 2 Kensington slots so the phone can't be stolen. Please note that this phone includes 2 USB ports for future expansion or charging your devices. Lastly, we've included a dedicated page key that allows users to easily scroll through multiple pages of virtual BLFs and speed dials, and that's this little page key plus and minus on the left-hand side of the phone here. Moving right along to the penultimate phone in our lineup, the P330 challenges the industry standard for what's considered mid-range. I'm doing the air quotes thing here at my desk, if you could see me. While the P330 shares some of the physical characteristics of the P32X phones, we've added up to 12 SIP accounts or virtual BLFs and speed dials, but we've also added support for wireless technologies like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. That's a big deal for us in a what we consider mid-range phone. Also, just in case you didn't notice, we moved the page keys for virtual BLFs over here to the right-hand side. You've got to keep it fresh, am I right? And last, but certainly not least, Sangoma's P370 delivers a sleek desktop presence for executive users with a large 7-inch color IPS touchscreen display. That's right, I said touchscreen. And just like all other phones in the line, the 370 includes high definition audio, unprecedented plug and play deployment with portals, zero touch provisioning and EPM. And we've got advanced built-in applications. Again, we're going to discuss this in just a little bit. The 370 supports up to 16 SIP accounts. It has 2 USB ports, just like the 330. And one more quick thing to mention is that this phone has no physical buttons. The keys here at the bottom of the screen are etched directly into the glass and function as part of the phone's touchscreen capability. So if you look around here, no physical hard keys, everything's driven specifically with that IPS glass color touchscreen display. Just another quick thing to mention that all phones in this tier do support EHS or electronic hook switch functionality with our headsets, as well as other major headsets in the market simply add our EHS cable. Let's take a quick look at the back of the phone. If you notice or are familiar with the D series stuff, all the I/O ports and connection cluster on the back of the phone are the same as the standard D series. We've got 2 slots for the high angle or low angle desk stand, whichever you choose to select there. On the 330 and the 370, both of those phones have a USB port on the side as well as the back. 325 has that USB port on the back. All phones do include either 1 or 2 Kensington slots, and then everything's got your standard dual 10100 Ethernet, as in the 310, or gigabit Ethernet across the rest of the entire line. Lastly, just a quick feature reference for comparison. Going down the line here, we've got 3 separate displays for your viewing pleasure, 2.4 inch on the lower end, ranging all the way up to 7.0 inch color IPS touchscreen display on the executive model. The phones range from 2 to 16 line keys. All of the phones support gigabit Ethernet except the 310. The 330 mid-range and 370 executive phones support Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and have 2 USB ports, as to where the 325 and 320 simply have 1. No USB ports on the 315 or the 310. Provisioning and management. In this section, we'll discuss a few of the features that make life with FreePBX and PBXact much simpler, specifically zero-touch provisioning portal and endpoint manager. So what is zero-touch provisioning, you might ask? Sangoma zero-touch provisioning, or ZTP as I like to call it, is a method of setting up phones that automatically configure with the settings from our Endpoint Manager module. ZTP most specifically helps IT teams quickly deploy network devices in any size environment. This eliminates most of the manual labor involved with adding them in a network. With EPM and ZTP, users can deploy 100 users in roughly about 10 minutes. That's what we say. For customers using our very popular PBXact cloud product, you will have nothing to do once you set the phones up. Simply order them from cloud.pbexact.com and they'll ship to you ready to go out of the box. For premise users, particularly the FreePBX and PBXact set, Sangoma provides zero-touch provisioning capability that is managed by users and resellers via tools accessible again in portal.sangoma.com. And then just a kind of a quick overview on how this all works. I may be making this sound more simple than it is, but with zero-touch provisioning, the end user receives the phone, pulls it out of the box, puts it together, plugs it into the network, and the phone will automatically receive its initial provisioning and configuration, or become associated with the PBX in question. The customer's admin or reseller can then look to Endpoint Manager for continuing the configuration and setup. So what is Endpoint Manager, you ask, if you don't know already? With Endpoint Manager, you really have the ability to use the graphical interface of FreePBX and PBXact to directly provision and configure the Sangoma desk phones, our Sangoma wireless phones, gateways, and more. Just a few quick features on EPM. You will have the ability to use templates that you can share across individual groups of phones. Quick example, I make one template for my users that are working in cubes. I can push that deployment or that template out to all users in that group. I don't have to individually configure each user's phone, just assign the extension to that template. We also give you the ability to manage firmware or choose which firmware loads on a per device basis. We also give you the ability to really do some extension mapping, or map your extension to specific MAC addresses that are assigned in that template that I was talking about earlier. And then you also really have the ability to easily program phone keys and button assignments with our drag and drop template utility. We also have the ability to define global settings that EPM will use for all templates, such as the internal or external IP of the address of the phones. And really gives you the ability also to manage what we call base file edits in UCP for advanced user. This will give you, the ability to control all settings in UCP that can be defined by an individual, and then those won't be overwritten by the system itself when the phone reboots. In this section, we're going to cover the apps available with the P-Series phones, and these are available on all Sangoma UC platforms. Again, today we're covering, what's possible specifically in FreePBX, PBXact Cloud, and PBXact Prem, but let's cover those apps. Let's get started. First up is visual voicemail. Our visual voicemail application lets you quickly see who left you voicemails and gives you the ability to choose what messages you want to listen to first. It offers multiple handling options as well. When enabled, the visual voicemail app can be accessed by pressing that dedicated voicemail hard key that I showed you on the phone line, or the etched in glass key on the 370. When viewing messages, users can see things like the caller ID name and number. They'll have a timestamp for those calls. They can view the message indicator. The message duration. We also have a visible MWI indicator on the phone itself, as well as a MWI indicator light on the phone itself. Along with viewing the message, you'll have some additional handling options. Users have the ability to play the message or forward it. They can rewind, fast forward, stop, delete, and then toggle the message as read or unread as well. Next up is a parking lot application. The parking lot app lets you see all the calls that are parked that you have permissions to view. For those in the FreePBX and PBXact loop, this app was designed to work with both Parking Module and Park Pro. It provides an interactive visual parking lot directly on the P-Series phone. So when a call is parked and the parking application is selected, a user can see which callers. As you can see over here, Ryan's parked. They can see the caller ID, name, and number of the person parked. So Ryan's parked from extension 106, and he's parked at extension 71. He's been parked for 16 seconds. To pick up the phone, to pick up the call, simply hit the answer key, or don't. The P-Series Call Log app shows you a detailed history of the last 50 calls that were made to and from the device. This persists even after the phone reboots. Two of the main options for the call log are view and filter. The view section showed detailed information about the call and the user status, while the filter option affords users with the ability to choose from all calls, missed calls, dial calls, or receive calls. One of the things I have forgot to mention as we were going down, I've included in red which P-Series phones these applications are available on. In the status management application, this application lets you set your current status and control how calls are handled when you choose that status. Status options such as away or at lunch are pre-canned, but sysadmins can configure additional states that meet the specific needs of their use case. This is configured in the present state module in FreePBX and FreePBX, if you're familiar with that. And for reference, in this image, you can see that Steve's status is set to DND. He's got this red icon here. And my extension, 101, is set to prefers chat. Lauren here is set to available. And it's now showing not only the on-hook, off-hook state of users, but it's also showing their present state directly on the BLF key itself. These status messages are updated across all Sangoma devices for registered users. If I change my status on our new desktop phone application, the system will update my status on all P-Series or even Sangoma Connect Mobile to match. Next up is the contacts application. The contacts application lets you see all groups of users that have been created in FreePBX or PBXact's contact manager module. You can search for contacts or users or view groups to find and call users easily. Selecting a user from the contact list displays a bunch of information, useful information from FreePBX and PBXact. Things like the user's current state. So as you can see here, Lauren's on the phone. It'll also show his present state, which at the time is available. It's also showing, his extension number. It'll let you dial it from here. You can send or call directly to voicemail or interact with the system's intercom functions, assuming that's configured for the user. This feature too is also supported on all P-series telephones. The call recording app, this is a good one. So the call recording app creates an on-demand call recording button that's directly on the telephone. This button is used to start and stop call recordings on the fly. And just so you know, if you start and stop a call recording on the fly for, say, compliance reasons, you're not trying to record sensitive information, even when you hit the call recording start and stop button, it does save that call recording file as a single file in the system. So no need to find all those sound files and try to put them back together. All call recordings using this feature are saved as a single sound file. This is supported on the 32X, the P330, and also the P370. Hot desking application. The hot desking or log in, log out application lets you log a user out of a phone, pick a new user and log into that device. Anytime you log in or out of a phone, the Endpoint Manager extension mapping will be updated with this new information. It should also be noted, and this is one that Lauren reminded me of yesterday, it should also be noted that this feature requires that the administrator add the device's MAC address to the emergency caller ID section of FreePBX and PBXact. Once completed, this feature is simple to use and set up. You simply put in your extension number, which is your user ID, and then your standard voicemail PIN to log in and log out. So assuming you can remember your voicemail password, it's really easy to log in and log out. Next up, I'm going to cover a few of the features that are going to be labeled as coming soon here. First one up in this regard is the queue monitor feature. Please take note, like I said, this is coming soon. Some of the features that will be available in this application, was specifically designed for managers who need to see at a glance information about the queues that are on the system that they have full permissions to view. Features in this application are going to include, but please don't limit them to, the ability to view the queue details, the ability to view callers who are waiting, view agents in queue, log in or log out or pause an agent. You have the ability to view the number of abandoned calls, the number of total calls that hit the queue, the number of agents on calls at any given time, and also the number of agents that are currently logged in. This, again, as mentioned, is coming soon, and it will be still TBD as to what phones will support this feature in the future. Also coming soon is the conference application for the Executive P370 touchscreen phone. The conference app is going to allow you to see all of your conference room on the system, view the callers in each of the conference rooms, jump in, jump out of conference, and then you have the ability to do fun things like kick callers or mute callers directly from that 7-inch color IPS touchscreen directly on the phone. This feature will be supported in the P370 only, but standard conference features are supported across, standard three-way conferencing features are supported across the entire P-series line. Just a quick request from me, if you haven't been there in a while, please stop by and check out our newly designed portal storefront. You know, thank you very much, Elvita, for making that happen. It looks amazing. At the portal store, located at portal.sangoma.com, you'll have the ability to view and see all the products that Sangoma sells. Please be sure to check out the Sangoma P-Series phone section. For resellers in our audience today, discounts are updated with your current portal price book when they're added to the cart or when you check out. We've also updated our partner demo kit to include P-Series phones on request, and we've added a P-Series only add-on kit for those who maybe want to update the phones in their office or update their presentation gear as well. One more thing before we go, or before we get into the Q&A. As mentioned, this deck will be available for download, but please, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A tools on the side here. We've also listed the OSS sales team phone number here. If you click that, you'll also reach our direct sales email. You know, feel free to reach out to us anytime. I see a lot of regular faces here on this webinar today. You know, those folks will tell you we're a touchable team that is here, easy to get a hold of, and happy to help. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.